Welcome viewers, may you live in interesting times. At first glance, this famous, and possibly Chinese, curse seems fairly harmless, especially in a crude culture like ours, where insults require nothing more than vile mockery, sarcasm, and dirty jokes. But if you stop and ponder this dictum, you'll realize that living in interesting times is far from an enviable stroke of luck. Why? Because interesting times are full of turmoil, instability, and, often violent, social unrest. On Wednesday, Republicans held their first preliminary debate without Donald Trump, who instead gave an exclusive interview with Tucker Carlson on X, formerly Twitter. In the interview, Mr. Carlson asked Mr. Trump a question that reflected a deep concern of many Americans. Do you think we are headed for civil war? As we proceed, please take out a minute of your time to click the subscribe button and then the notification bell for more updates from us. Tucker tells Trump, do you think we're heading to civil war? pic.twitter.com/BIZNN9HMQJ Charlie Kirk @CHARLIEKIRK11, August 24, 2023. As you can see from his reaction, in Trump's eyes, the issue is related to the events of January 6. So do you think there's a chance there's an open conflict going on? Carlson urged Trump, looks like we're onto something. I don't know, Trump said. All I can say is, there's a level of passion you've never seen before. There's a level of hate you've never seen. And it's probably a bad combination. The polarization of this country is well known, but many of us who have been involved in missions and apologies, especially on an academic level, have known for years that it was approaching. I distinctly remember when secular atheists openly debated utilitarian ethics and materialist worldviews with Christians, see examples here. But a few years before Trump was elected, things began to change. A new Marxism has emerged, a cultural Marxism that no longer wants to argue. For the new Marxists, the debate was long over. Those who resisted progress were evil and were therefore denied respect, courtesy and basic rights. They accepted the straw dolls that Christians often made, where secularism would end up. They became the caricature we warned against. For example, I remember when pedophilia was used as an example of the consequences of atheistic ethical tendencies, but at the time such predictions angered secular opponents. Was dismissed as ridiculous. Now they openly admit that this is what they want. Because what they really want is the opposite of what is good and right according to Christian civilization. They want to burn everything down. If the wars between nations in the 1860s were inevitable, between the West, Christianity, and America, is the conflict we find ourselves in even more inevitable? Do not be unequally yoked with the unbelievers. What is the partnership between righteousness and lawlessness, or in which communities are there light and darkness? What agreement does Christ have with Belial, or what part do believers share with unbelievers? What is the correspondence between God's temple and idols? For we are the temple of the living God, 2 Corinthians 6:14-16. These he cannot unite in peace and unity. Two worldviews, the Christian worldview and the unbeliever worldview, in all its manifestations. B. Those who believe that children can be murdered cannot cling to those who believe in the sanctity of life. Those who believe that men can have babies and women can have penises cannot cling to those who believe that God created humans in the likeness of men and women. Those who worship nature, science, and white-robed experts, from whom morality can be derived, cannot be bound by those who bow down to Christ, His Word, and the authority of the Church. You have the idea. If the first Civil War was an irresolvable dispute over the constitutionality of secession and the institution of slavery, our new Civil War is far more necessary and strong in His department. Our war is between good and evil itself, between freedom and oppression. Of course, passion and hatred are present in such an environment. In a country that allows individuals to live according to their own beliefs and ethics, or at least that's how the Supreme Court construed it, ultimately colliding and irreconcilable worldviews are a foregone conclusion that even infants could have predicted. It seems like Abraham Lincoln said in his speech at the Lyceum. Then at what point do you expect danger to come? I answer, if it reaches us, it must happen between us. They cannot come from abroad. If destruction is our destiny, we must become its creators and doers ourselves. As a nation of free people, we always have to survive or die by suicide. We are at this point now. Danger looms between us and we must decide the future of our country. Following the example of Thomas Paine, I say. May we have an interesting time so that children can know when it's boring.